You've probably seen it, right? That story that keeps popping up online, the one that claims that right before he died, Albert Einstein finally admitted he'd found proof of an afterlife. It's such a wild idea, and man, it has gone viral for a reason. So today, we are going to get to the very bottom of this incredible claim.
I mean, seriously, just stop and think about that for a second. What if the guy who completely redefined how we see space, time, and gravity spent his last days not on physics, but on cracking the code of the human soul? It's a question that just grabs you, because it mashes up two of our biggest fascinations, the secrets of the universe and the power of pure genius.
And this is the quote that really sets the whole thing up. It's so powerful, isn't it? It presents Einstein not as some guy with faith, but as a man of hard evidence who went beyond just believing to actually knowing. That's the kind of line that makes you just lean in closer and go, okay, tell me what he knew. All right, let's dive right into the story that's got millions of people hooked. This is the legend of a final, top-secret confession from one of the greatest minds in all of history. So the story goes something like this. Just 1 year before he passed away, Einstein gives this absolutely mind-blowing interview. It was apparently so radical, so world-changing, that his good friend, the genius mathematician Kurt Gödel, had to hide the transcript. He supposedly tucked it away in a safe with a false bottom, where it just sat, totally undiscovered, for almost 70 years. I mean, come on, that's a plot straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster. And what's really fascinating here is that the story doesn't stop with Einstein. No, it weaves together this kind of grand theory of the afterlife by pulling in the voices of other legendary thinkers to really sell the idea. Okay, so at the very core of this supposed Einstein interview is this really beautiful metaphor. It says our consciousness isn't actually our body, it's more like a wave of energy that we borrow for a little while. And when the body dies, that wave doesn't just disappear. It just flows back into the huge cosmic ocean it came from. It's a really comforting thought. Now, the story tries to back this up with some very scientific-sounding language, like non-local consciousness. The whole idea here is that your brain isn't actually creating you. It's just an antenna, a biological receiver that's tuning into a signal that's already out there, everywhere. So in this view, death is just the receiver breaking. The broadcast keeps on going. And to add even more scientific weight, the myth brings in another giant, Nikola Tesla. There's a similar lost interview that claims he came up with these 5 so-called proofs. And by listing them out like this, step by step, it really creates the illusion that this is all based on some kind of rigorous scientific process. And then, to round out the whole picture, they bring in the great psychologist Carl Jung. In his own so-called banned interview, he supposedly talks about reincarnation, but not as a punishment. It's more like a cosmic school. We keep coming back over and over, not because we messed up, but to finish our lessons, and, in the end, to remember who we really are, our true, eternal selves. So what we have is this incredible, interwoven story, right? It's pulling from physics, from engineering, from psychology. It gives us comfort, it gives us meaning, and it wraps it all up with the authority of science. But does any of it actually hold up when you look at the fact? Well, there is just one massive problem with all of this. It's fake, a complete work of fiction, a modern myth, basically created for the internet. There was no secret confession, no hidden manuscript in a safe, no banned interview, none of it. Yeah, the moment you actually check the historical record, the whole story just completely falls apart. Look, the Albert Einstein archives in Jerusalem, they hold tens of thousands of his documents. His friend Kurt Gödel's papers, they've been studied inside and out, and there is absolutely zero record of any interview like this. In fact, a lot of the videos spreading the story even admit, way down in their descriptions, that they're just fictional thought experiments, not actual history. So the fictional Einstein gives us this poetic, super reassuring message that death is just a return home. It's a really lovely thought, but that thought is in total opposition to what the real Einstein actually wrote. His own words are crystal clear, and he was very consistent about it. He said over and over that he did not believe in a personal afterlife. He saw those ideas as something born out of human fear and ego. For him, our immortality was the impact we have on the world, not our own consciousness carrying on forever.
So if the interview is a fake, where did all these ideas even come from? Well, this is where the myth gets really clever. It works by taking real, very complex scientific ideas and just twisting them to mean something else entirely.
Let's take the block universe. This is a real concept from Einstein's theory of relativity. It basically suggests that, from a physics point of view, all of time, past, present, and future, kind of exist all at once, like individual frames on a long reel of film. And this quote right here is used all the time as proof. And it is a real quote. Einstein wrote it in a letter to the family of his lifelong best friend, Michel Bissot, right after he died. And yeah, at first glance, it sounds incredibly spiritual, right? Like he's saying death itself is just an illusion. But he was offering comfort as a physicist. In the context of that block universe idea, he meant that his friend's entire life is now permanently woven into the very fabric of space-time. It's an eternal part of the universe's history. He was not saying his friend's conscious mind was still alive somewhere. It was a beautiful scientific thought, not a spiritual one. So that brings us to the biggest and maybe the most important question of all. If this whole thing is so easy to prove wrong, why is it so incredibly popular? Why do we want to believe this so badly? Well, the appeal is really deep. It's psychological. It takes our single greatest fear, death, and gives us a comforting answer. And it's an answer that's wrapped in the authority of something we trust, science. The whole banned knowledge angle makes it feel secret and powerful. And using those science-y terms like quantum entanglement or non-local consciousness, well, it gives these spiritual ideas a shine of credibility that makes them super easy to share and pretty hard to just brush off. So in the end, yeah, the legend of Einstein's final interview is totally false. But its wild popularity tells a very true story about us. It shows our deep human need for meaning, our desire for some kind of reassurance when we face the great unknown, and our hope that the universe isn't just empty and cold, but that it's actually conscious and connected. And that leaves us with a final question to think about. When a story feels more true than the actual facts, what does that tell us about the kind of truths we're all really looking for?